Now, more of your go-to for all things home. This is Home Answers Radio, presented by JeffBuysYourHouse.com, Access, Level 10 Coatings, Steiner Homes, Center Guard Plumbing, and by American Beam and Steel. Once again, here's Roger Piper.
Your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio.
Hi, welcome to Home Answers. I'm Roger Piper. This show is all about your home. We talk about many different things to do with your home. And one thing I will guarantee you is that if you spend the next few minutes with us, you're going to pick up on a few things that you probably didn't know. Today, we're going to talk about when it's time to pick up the home and move it. We got a great guest with us, Jim Boswell with Dryve. Jim, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, when people are looking at moving, it could be a number of things. They could be, okay, I'm moving my elderly parents. I'm moving myself across the country. And outside of selling or buying a house, it's probably right next in stress because it's not easy. When all of a sudden you say, okay, we're going to move across the country and, but we do it all the time. And the one thing that you do, Jim, is something that is really unique and we wanted to bring to people. And like I always recommend, you need to write down the names and numbers of people you may need to use, a plumber, an HVAC contractor, in this case, moving, so and call and go to their website and check them out. So when the time comes, you don't have the stress. You can say, okay, I'm going to call them up. Now I'm going to pull the trigger. And this is one of the things that I would recommend for moving that you take a look at because really it is a better mousetrap. And Jim, tell us a little bit on how this company started, because I think that gives a real insight to what you built and how it works.
Yeah, well, thank you. I started the company when the pandemic started. I have owned a construction company since 1993, and some things were changing as they have with a lot of industry when the pandemic started. So I had an idea many years ago, about 30 years ago, and I started it a better way to move. We could move in a smarter way. So started it, and it immediately took off, and very grateful for that.
Yeah. And, some of the best ideas, it seems like the pandemic, if it didn't do anything else, it sure did start a lot of businesses and a lot of ideas. And basically how the company works is that you drive the truck. So if you're moving, you get the truck, you do that part, you load it, just like you're going to do your self-move, but then you drive the truck for them. So you rent the truck, you pack it, and then you drive it, which is the most stressful part of a self-move, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because moving long distance is very, very stressful. But that driving stress of moving through mountains, through weather, those kind of things. Yeah, it's one of the most stressful things. And so as a moving company, that drive trucks every day, our drivers are very experienced, and so you're hiring somebody that really understands and knows how to move across the country.
Now, if you go, okay, I'd be interested in doing this because I have a move coming up. The quotes that I'm getting from a moving company that's going to do everything from start to finish is just astronomical, and maybe I don't have that much, or maybe I don't want to spend that much. How much money can you save by using your services?
Yeah, we know these numbers. We track this pretty good. And so we know that a lot of people, the majority, are telling us that they save between 30 to 70% on their move with us. Versus getting a quote from a moving company. You're talking about people getting 3 quotes and the lowest one's, $18,000, and we're moving somebody for, $8,000, with the truck, the labor, everything, significantly less. And we help people through that whole process.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if, you still have to rent the truck and you may need to hire some help and things like that. Tell us what you do as far as helping people with the entire project, because if you've never rented trucks before, you probably don't have a good idea on what you should be asking or what is a good deal and what isn't. So tell us about the advice that you give people and what you can do for the entire process, even though you're really only being hired to drive.
Yeah, the full move is 3 phases always. It's the truck, it's the labor, and it's the transportation. And while we get paid to do the transportation part, those other parts are just as important. So people are asking all the time, hey, we need some labor in this city for loading, and we need labor in that city for unloading. Would you be able to give us a resource? And we do that every day. We vet companies, for our customers to help them with that part if they need that. And trucks, part of our quote that we send an additional of numbers for several companies and how you could rent a truck for the size that you need, an auto carrier, what you would need insurance-wise, those kind of things. And we have some ways to save significant money on trucks for our customers. Some of it involves getting a truck maybe even from a different location. And so, we do really, really good at this because the bottom line for us is not only that the move goes well and the experience is great, but also, that cost component, we want to do everything we can to help somebody save the most amount of money possible.
Is it safe to say that you can get deals on things beyond driving that the average person can't?
I would say that we find those deals.
Okay.
It's not necessary that we're able to negotiate those deals, but we find ways to save money. And again, some of that is simply by, there's labor that would say, hey, we minimally will send 3 laborers for 4 hours or whatever that might be. And then there's other laborers that are a different cost point that do just as well. And so, there's differences that people wouldn't know necessarily easily because they don't do it every day, how to vet that, that process, and we help them through that process. On the truck side, we sometimes go in other places to get trucks and bring them to customers that can save a significant amount of money. And that is almost done in every drive that we do, just because people say, I can't believe you saved us this amount of money, and we're happy to do that.
Yeah, it's because you live in that world and you know how it works.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When you do something every day, there's ways to do it that just maybe somebody that has never moved before or moved a couple times, they just don't know those, how to get around that. But we help people and are happy to help with the entire process from the time that they call or they ask for a quote on our website all the way through to they're moved in. I always tell people we work for you. Like, when you pay us to do one part of it, your whole move is important to us. So we work for you the entire time, and people are grateful for this.
Yeah, because that really does make a difference. When people are trusting, all of your stuff, or let's say that you're packing up and, moving somebody across country, I know personally some people that move some people, some elderly folks to Charleston, South Carolina. I mean, that's halfway across the country.
Yep.
And they are, some things were going to storage, some things were being moved, all of that. It can be very stressful, and it's important that you have the kind of advice that you need. So really what you do for people is you're a moving company that gets paid to do the driving, but then also you're helping them out with every single other thing involved with the move, right?
Yeah, all aspects of their move. Yeah, and again, that's important to us. So, I have one example, and I have so many, but one. A family was going to move recently, and the wife did not want her husband to drive because he had a bad back, and they were moving to Arizona. It's 1,800 miles.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, I think it's better if we hire a driver." Well, at the last minute, he decided, "I think I can do it. I'm gonna move myself." So it was about a week before the drive, and I tell everybody this: I'm so grateful for my company and how we get to help people. I always say, listen, regardless if whether you hire Dryve or not, I'll always be a resource. I'm happy to help. I'm always available. Well, she asked me hey, would you know a laborer that could help us? And I said, of course I do. And so I connected them with labor, and they were so grateful for that. And it doesn't matter that we drive for everybody. If somebody needs help on their move and they don't know who to call, I'm happy that it's me that they'll call, and I'll help them and give them as much time as it takes, because that's why I'm in business, is to help people. All the other things that come with success, that comes with hard work. But yeah, we're always glad and happy to help people.
And I think that makes a big difference. So if you're you may be looking at a move now, or you know what? Again, I talk about being prepared. Have that list. A cluttered mind never thinks clearly. Have people figured out that you can use or you may need, not only for your own use, but also the ability to make recommendations when somebody says, hey, you know what? We just found out we're got to move to Phoenix. Hey, I've got somebody here that I've been talking to. So you don't have a problem with people calling up and basically interviewing you and asking about what you do even before they need you, right?
Oh, love it. Yeah, I love when people call and just have questions about whatever it might be. And here's what I always get. In the first 2 minutes, we know that you knew what you were doing. You already were asking questions about things that we weren't even sure that we were going to need to think about. And so yeah, I love when people call and ask questions. Again, regardless of whether they hire us or not, that's a big part of it, is trusting who it is that you're going to work with.
Yep, the company is Dryve. WeDriveYourTruck.com. Go to the website, check them out. And this is Home Answers on AM 560, The Answer.